Yeah, so in this session, what we want to discuss is issues pertaining to committees in various decision making scenarios. There are moments whereby you want to make a decision, for example, whether you need to invest in some area, you can be able to form a committee to look at the investment options which are there, but also as an organization, whether you want to do strategic plan, you might need to have a committee that is going to work with a consultant whenever he's developing the strategic plan. Yeah, you want to introduce a new product, you might need to have a committee that is going to look into the nitty-gritties of that particular a product, and you want to assess a certain market, you might need to get a consultant to do that and all that, or even you might need to get a committee to be in place, because it's always regarded that a decision of one person is always or a decision of a group of people is better than a decision of one person. So what we need to appreciate is to say whenever there is need for you to make decisions, it's always important that you should be able to use through committees. So even in finance, for example, you want to work out on something, you may need to form a committee that is going to, if you are preparing for an audit, for example, if you have got a very big finance department, you may need to ask your team to work together as a team to ensure that because team decision making is always acceptable, and also when things have gone wrong, the blame is not being put to one person. So when you are preparing for an audit, you may need to have a sample team that is going to prepare the accounts for you to ensure that you are ready for the audit, for example. So the importance of committees cannot be emphasized. I think we all know that the importance of committees, and within an organization, for example, within the human resource management space, for example, or even in another department, whenever you want to come up with a policy, for example, or a plan, for example, you might need to have a committee, you might have a committee for strategic plan, you might need to have a committee for budget, and you might need to get people from different departments to work out something that is going to feed into the budget, for example. And likewise, whenever also you want to make certain decisions, for example, I'll give an example. You want to come up with job descriptions for an organization, you may need to form a committee to develop the job descriptions. For example, you want to advertise. Once you have advertised for the job, for example, you need to do shortlisting, for example. Yeah, you need to have a committee, not just one person. As I said earlier on, it's always a challenge when a decision is being made by one person. So, for example, you might need to have interviews, for example. You might need to have a panel. That's a committee that has to sit and also interview the candidates, for example. And the interview, after the interviews, maybe offer letters are made and all that. Orientation, you may need to have a committee that's responsible for orientation, or different people from different departments to orient the individuals within the organization. But also, if you look at even issues of pertaining to disciplinary issues, you may need to have a committee, for example, to carry out the disciplinary processes. And I think what I'm saying is it's always important to use committees when you're making HR decisions. And also, one of the things that we need to appreciate, for example, performance management. Yeah, whenever there is performance management, you need to have a committee that is going maybe to validate the scores, for example, or to receive the complaints from the employees whenever there are complaints, or even from the supervisors related to performance. And at the same time, you look at issues like grievance management, for example. You might have a committee that is going to look at the grievance issues that are coming from the employees and also be able to recommend solutions. The idea is to say decisions should be made by a team within the organization. Yeah, and there are certain issues related to training, for example. Yeah, you may need to have a committee that has to look at the issues of the training, for example. So when the committee has met, you'll be able to look at all the training applications, and also be able to make decisions to say who should go for training, why should this person go for training, and why this one should not go for the training, and all that. And each and every committee might need to have its own TORs, for example, that is going to guide the committee, the role of the chairperson, the role of the secretary for the committee, and the role of the committee members, and how frequent they should be able to meet, and who is responsible for what. All those things should be in the TORs of that particular committee. And these are like guiding principles for the committee. So I think the use of committees in HR processes cannot be emphasized. We all know the importance of dealing with HR issues when it comes to committees. So we can have a committee based on welfare committee, HIV/AIDS committee, for example, corruption committee or anti-corruption committee, for example. You may need to have a training committee, recruitment committee, and also there are certain committees which can be ad hoc, depending on, like, for example, disciplinary committees, recruitment committees. It's not like a one standoff committee that is there always. You may need to, you can form them as the ad hocly, yeah, just like it happens in procurement. You can have evaluation committees, but what we're trying to say is there was always no decisions. When you're making decisions should be made through committees. You might find that it's easier for the decisions to be acceptable by the organizational members. It's always important to emphasize that, to say the need for, maybe you're looking for staff loans, for example. It's always to go through that particular committee, which is going to assess and also make decisions, and so that the decisions shouldn't be seen that they are being made by one person. Could be the CEO or the director of finance or the HR director. No, but you'll be seeing that the others might think that there's favoritism when the decisions are being made. So it's always important, when the committees have made decisions, they should be able to inform the CEOs who have now to make the decisions. But what we need to appreciate is the CEO or the management should be able to appreciate the role of the committees, not like whatever decision that the committees have made, then they should be overruled by whatever the CEO has decided. So I think as much as the committees, they should also be always objective to ensure their decisions are easily accepted by management. Yeah. So what is important is to follow the rules of the committee. If you have said this is a criteria for us to make a decision, for example, we should be able to maintain that particular criteria, because the employees would know that the criteria, because they all have to know the criteria that is used. Even when you're applying for something, you're able to know that, no, with that criteria, I'm not qualifying to get this particular thing that I'm looking for. Yeah, but what is important is always to ensure that there are always committees, could be the union. Yeah, it's always easier to deal with the group than dealing with an individual. So I think we're not emphasize the need for committees within the organization of any nature. Yeah, it lessens the burden of decision making on one person, like I say, the CEO or management, but other people might come in and share their input. So I'd like to thank you for listening to this particular session. Thank you.